All right, I want to welcome everyone to the January reset. We're just going to spend a little bit of time figuring out what doesn't need to carry forward into 2026, what needs to be left behind in 2025, and talk a little bit about healthy goal setting and some healthy practices that will help you create the success that you want in 2026. That whole 2016 thing has been going on, so I don't know what year it is. Anyway, there was a handout in the event, and then you'll need a pen and a couple pieces of paper. So without any further ado, we'll just dive right in here. Right. So welcome to the January Reset Workshop. This is a guided reset to create clarity, confidence, and momentum for you in 2026. All right. So tonight is not about fixing what is broken or reinventing yourself. It is about creating space so that you can move forward with clarity and intention. And so much of the time, January rolls around and we're just get back on the horse and break out of the Christmas craze and the holiday, coma. And we just start kind of running before we've even really thought about what we want to create. And so we're not acting or working with intention. We're almost like reacting to the new year being here and that feeling of feeling behind. So I want to help you maybe get rid of that because you're not behind, you're right on time. This reset is built around 4 simple actions: reflect, release, renew, and refocus. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I'll have a few little exercises for us as we move through. So first, we want to reflect on success, and here's why. Confidence is not built on motivation. It is built by evidence. So before we look ahead, we need to acknowledge what's already worked in 2025 and give ourselves credit for that. So when I talk about successes from 2025 for you, what comes to mind? You can put it in the chat. You can also, I want you to jot this down. This is going to be a sheet we're going to keep, like successes. What am I proud of? What worked? So just anything. This doesn't have to be big, huge breakthroughs or huge accomplishments or huge goals. Just whatever pops into your mind first and foremost. What were the moments that you were proud of yourself in 2025? We can spend so much time focusing on what we didn't do, what we didn't accomplish, all of the lowlights, right? And this highlight reel is so important because it just reinforces for you your own success and what you're capable of. So just write these down as they come to mind. We're going to build a brag sheet here. And something else I do, I meant to take a picture of it, is I have like a brag board. It's the highlights. And so when I'm having an off day and I'm feeling a little bit maybe down and not as successful as I think I should be. We all have those days. I have this board that I can see from my desk of some of the greatest moments in recent past, great conferences, great workshops, just great moments, great conversations, and great reminders. So you want to write these down, but think about building that brag board for the days that you feel, less than the rock star you are. I think a lot of us have a vision board, but we don't have an accomplishment board. So we need to really reflect on that and make that part of our day to celebrate our successes. It's not about being braggy or anything like that. It is just reflecting on and reinforcing for yourself what you're capable of and what you've done in the past. And this is why it matters. It's going to give you the confidence to tackle any challenge. And I spoke to this in the live that I did. You can reach back, and when you're confronted with a challenge, and you don't know if you can get there, you don't know if you can get through, you can reach back to that success and say, okay, I did this, I can do this. And I feel like we're constantly learning lessons on a higher level as we progress through life and as we progress through business. I mean, we are here on a journey to learn and evolve and grow. And so the same lessons come around. We're just seeing them on a higher level. Maybe at once it was personal sales was $1,000 a month. And as you grow, maybe that number grows, the vision grows, the challenges grow, but they're often very similar to things that we've faced in the past. And so this is that evidence that I was talking about that's going to give you confidence. And the confidence, you just got to have it. We all have imposter syndrome from time to time where we don't feel super confident, and these little remembrances will really help you remember who you are in case you forget, which happens sometimes. The second thing we need to do is release the disappointments. Sometimes people refer to these as failures or whatever. We can replay that in our heads. over and over and over again, it's ultimately not helpful to chastise ourselves and to revisit the love light reel. We can't move forward carrying the weight of what didn't work. So these disappointments, they don't just sit quietly in the background. They drain your energy, they chip away at your confidence, they dull your joy. So we've got to leave those, keep the lesson, but leave the pain and the disappointment and the auto tape, leave that in 2025. Take what you learned from that moment, that carries forward. But excuse me, the event itself, there's no room for that in your future. So, second sheet, what disappointments from 2025 are you carrying around with you? And this is something that you'll work on for the rest of the evening, or maybe tomorrow you want to revisit this because they're not all going to come to mind at once. But what are those things that you're still carrying around that you're kicking yourself over, that you're revisiting and reliving? Because we can't change it, right? We've got to just let those go. What old stories are you still carrying? And there's so many. I mean, I grew up being told that I was too loud, right? That's a story that you can carry around, and it makes you shrink and it makes you want to make yourself small and quieter, right? Because you don't want to be called too loud or bossy or other words that begin with B. What self-limiting beliefs are sabotaging your success? I'm not good enough. I'm not one of those people. I'll never get there. I'm not one of them. I don't have what it takes. I don't, whatever. We have like 60,000 thoughts a day, and they're predominantly negative. It's just the way the human mind is biased. And so being aware of that is so important, because we can't change it or stop it until we are aware of some of these things pinging around in our heads. So what are those self-limiting beliefs? They usually are can't, won't, don't, shouldn't, couldn't. They usually include those words. Are there small hurts or animosities holding you back, that you're holding on to, that you're revisiting and replaying? Again, the past is the past. It can't be changed. All we can do is move on in the future. So, are there things like that that you need to let go that are holding you back? Sometimes, and I'm speaking to a lot of social sellers and direct sellers here, sometimes there's rub with our upline or with the sideline, or, whatever. And those really affect our success. So, what do you need to let go of as you move into 2026 to kind of clear your emotional plate too, while we're clearing out some of the rest of the stuff? What is that needs to go? And you can just jot these down. I'm watching the chat too. So here's is the exercise for the disappointments. And you want to do this on a separate piece of paper. So you write these down as they come to mind. You can work on it tomorrow. It may take you a couple of days. I don't know. When you're done in the next day or so, don't spend 3 weeks on this, right? It's just the top of your head things. You're going to burn these thoughts. Go put them in the barbecue grill or whatever you've got that you can burn them completely. Burn all these thoughts, these memories, unhelpful emotions, animosities, and entanglements with people that just aren't serving you. Watch the flames destroy all of that negativity. It is cathartic to do this. I've done this with groups of people before. And even when I'm struggling myself with something, this is one of the things I'll do to be able to release that and really, really firmly release that. It is absolutely liberating. That's the exercise, is to write these things down and then set them on fire, blow away. I can't wait to hear from you guys on how this particular exercise affects you. And this can be things like fear of failure, fear of rejection, anything that is holding you back from being your greatest self and hitting your highest level of potential in 2026 needs to go on this piece of paper or index cards or whatever you got, whatever you're working with. Releasing it doesn't mean it didn't matter. It means you're not letting it define your next chapter. It's a real thing, but you're not going to let it control your future. And then we want to renew our passion. Sometimes that's hard. January is a tough month, particularly in direct selling, because it's very slow. And I think it's tough in a lot of industries because it's slow. People are, again, everything was about the holidays, and they're just not quick to re-engage. It's one of the hardest things, is getting people engaged in January. And so it can feel a little down. This is not one of the best months out of the year, and that can get you down a little bit. So you've got to fall in love with your business, whatever your business is, all over again. If you have a product-based business, my number one tip for falling in love with it is go open some product and have some fun and play again and rekindle that sense that you first had when you first began, all that enthusiasm. Once you release the weight that we talked about, we can create space for energy and we can really kindle that energy. Passion is the fuel in the tank. It is what carries you through the hard days and the slow seasons and the setbacks. And when passion fades, everything feels heavy and it's not fun anymore. And the ability to fall back in love with what you do is key in your success. Questions to help you renew your passion. And you're going to keep this page. What do I do? What do you do? It's an interesting question. A lot of people will tell you what you are, what your title is, or whatever, but what is it that you really do when you break it down to its very core? And if you're watching the replay, you can pause this and think these through. What part of my work still lights me up? What do I love? When am I at my happiest? When this business, this career, what difference do I make through my work? What difference do I make to others through my work? This is really a mission piece here. And that's so important to stay in love and be in love and have the energy around what you're doing is that you know what your mission is. You know why you're doing it. And it is more than money. There's a million ways to make money. There's a reason that you're doing what you're doing. There's a reason that you chose it. And it's so important to keep that in front of you. What do? I help people in business, entrepreneurs, reach their potential. That's what I do. I get up every morning and that's what I think about. And everything that I do builds into that, particularly women in business. That is my heart and that is my passion. And it is a true joy to be able to do that. So when I get passed over for a keynote or something like that, it's okay. That was not my audience. Those were not the people that needed to hear that particular message because I'm on mission to help people change the lives and the right people will come before me. With recruiting, if we're talking to direct sellers who are building a team, everyone isn't a yes. Sometimes I sign up with other people. Sometimes I sign up with other companies. That's okay. That one wasn't yours. You did your best. They're not supposed to be on the journey with you. So when your mission piece is intact, it's a lot easier to find your footing and keep your footing when you know what you're about and what you're doing and why you're doing it. When you reconnect with your why, the how gets so much easier. And we are going to talk about goals a little bit and systems, but it really is reconnecting with the why. Why do I do what I do? Why do I love it? What's the difference that I'm making in people's lives? And then the how will really kind of take care of itself because passion is absolutely fuel that'll get you there. All right, so let's talk little business plan. This is very simple. I posted this in the group, in the event on Facebook, and tried to post it in Zoom, and it was not cooperating with me tonight, but I'll send this out in email. This is just really simple. Sometimes we have these very convoluted plans, and if you can't scratch it out on a piece of paper, it's just too much. It's like a recruiting talk. If you can't explain to me your business on a cocktail napkin, your plan's too complicated. So the first thing is personal priorities. What are those for you? Is that family, God, the business? What are your top 3 personal priorities for 2026? What's your business vision? What are you building? How big is the sales volume? How big is the team? How many lives are being touched through what you're building? What is that real vision? Not just around numbers and mechanics, but really, what's the vision? Are you touching lives? Are you changing lives? Are you helping people look and feel younger and more beautiful? Are you helping people regain their health or improve their health? What is that? What is that vision for your business and what you want to do through the business? Because at the end of the day, this business is just a vehicle for your vision and your mission. What are your core offers? Sometimes we need to relook at this because it gets a little skewed, particularly if we're in a product-based company, product-based line, and there's so many offerings. It gets very, very confusing. I was working with one of my coaching clients the other day, and she's in a different model, kind of a brick and mortar model, but she's a salesperson. And there's so much to offer. We really had to spend some time kind of distilling it down to, okay, every consultation you have, what are the things that you're going to offer them so that this feels simple, not, you can do this and you can do that and you can do the other thing. We overwhelm people so often. And I think of indirect selling, sending them to a website is completely overwhelming. Handing them a catalog is completely overwhelming. People need to be coached a little bit. They need to be told what's going to fill their needs. You have to listen to what their needs are, but they don't need to know everything that your company makes or that your company offers. They just need to know what's going to fix their problems, what's going to address their personal pain points. And this is one of the things I love so much about consultative selling is that it is very targeted on the individual. You listen more than you talk. So think about that. What are you offering people when they come to you and want to try your products or want to learn more? Are you making it simple for them? Who's the ideal client? I know I've spent a lot of time in skincare, both in the field and working for skincare companies. And, our joke is anyone with skin, right? That's your client. And that's true. But again, going back to the problems that you're solving, who is your ideal client? If we're talking about skincare, is it women over 45 targeting aging? Is it acne? I mean, you have something for everybody, but thinking about almost a little bit of a narrower niche than you may be currently focused on. What are your sales and your revenue goals? And what does it take to sell that if you have a sales goal? Or what does it take to earn that amount of money? Is this a career level? Is it a team size? Is it personal sales? What does it take to get there? Sometimes we're just so out of focus and fuzzy on the details that it's really kind of hard to hit that. If you have a team, and some of you here do, and some of you do not, what are those team goals? Do you want to build it to a certain size? Do you want to hit a certain career level? I hope that you're thinking in terms of, I want to build X amount of leaders in my organization, so that it's not just all about you and where you're trying to get, but where you're trying to help other people get to, right? We all grow together. That works best in that way. Marketing, okay, where are my clients? Where do I find them? And definitely social media is huge, definitely. But there's a lot of ways to connect with people, and there's a multitude of ways to market. I won't get into pay-per-click or anything like that. I think most of you guys are working really, really hard on social media. It's great. I love social media. It's like a second home. I spend more time there than probably anywhere else. But thinking about what is that marketing plan instead of just a blanket, just throw stuff against the wall on social media, content-wise. If you have an ideal client in mind, and it can be more than one, you can speak to more than one customer. But let's take the anti-aging market. I'm stuck on skincare. I got to come up with something else. The anti-aging market, those are different. That's a different video. That's a different content than if you're marketing to teens with acne, or if you're, marketing beauty, the cosmetic side of things. So giving some thought to that. And I mean, shorts and reels are huge right now if you're trying to reach people. It's just crazy. And pop any questions in the chat. So the marketing piece, what's your conversion rate? This is really important for you to know. How many conversations do I have to get a customer, to get a client? What is that? 1 out of 10 people become a client? It varies. It varies depending on the product, and it also varies depending on how you're reaching out to people and how you're marketing to people. A Facebook video is a conversation starter, maybe, but you can't like throw that up there and Facebook says, 400 people saw it, and you're like, yay, 400 people saw it. Facebook Lives, Instagram, TikTok's a great place these days for shorts, and particularly if you have a demonstrable product like makeup, jewelry, nail polish, things like that are very visual. Home decor, also. But what is that conversion rate? Hopefully, you know that. And you may have to spend some time to figure out what your conversion rate is, your personal conversion rate. Great news is that the more you do this, the longer you do this, the better that conversion rate becomes, whether it's sales or it's bookings or it's team building. Your rates will increase, your ratio will increase the better you get at it. And the only way to get good at it is to practice, is to go do it. Success is found in the field, in action, not, in a book somewhere, not thinking it to death. And I find a lot of people think much more than they act. And so action will set you free in this case. And then you can figure out your conversion rate. And then support. Who's your support network? Who is your, excuse me, who's your accountability partner? Who's that objective party helping you to refocus and to reframe? And this is something that I love doing in coaching, in one-on-one coaching, and even small group, is helping people reframe for themselves. Because here's the problem. We have always only ever existed in our reality, in our brain, since our first cognizant moment. It's always been there. So we don't have the ability to reframe things for ourselves. This is the same thing that a therapist does when you go to a mental health therapist. Also, no shame in that game, guys. Is they help you look objectively at your remembrances and your memories, and things that have happened in your life. And that's really what I do in coaching. So if you've never worked with a coach before, I am going to offer y'all just a complimentary call. It isn't about me telling you what to do. It's about me helping you figure out what you want to do and maybe tweak things a little bit, be a sounding board for you. And it's absolutely priceless. The people that I work with, I mean, it increases in their business. It's just crazy. I mean, I used to say fourfold, and I guess as I have gone on coaching, my averages increased too. But it's really unbelievable, and it's so gratifying to work with people. And there is nothing like someone saying, I'm so glad I did this. It changed my life. I don't like to make that claim, but that's what people say. They're changing their lives. I'm just guiding the path for them. But that is always an amazing feeling, and to watch people soar and to get better results and to step into their greatness, and they just need a little bit of guidance. So think about who is in your support network and what's lacking there. I will also say, if there are people around you who are not supportive of your business, then I would really limit what I share with them, because that's, especially in the direct selling model, that's a problem where husbands aren't bought in, sister-in-laws aren't bought in. There's always someone that has something to say. I would think twice who you're sharing with. So where do we start? That's where we start. I forgot to click through. Determine what you want in 2026. Simple one-page plan. And we walked through the sheet. Anyway, and I would love, we can talk through this sheet in the one-on-one, should you take advantage of that. All right. Passion gives you energy, systems give you results. And I find that people have overcomplicated systems. Success does not come from doing things just when you feel motivated, when the spirit moves you, right? That's why resolutions fail. But people lose the motivation, and they don't feel like going to the gym, or they don't feel like reading self-development that day or whatever. Consistency beats intensity every time. And I see people work like crazy for 2 weeks. They're not seeing the results. Their motivation tanks. So then they stop, and then they mope for a little bit, and then they, start again, because they're not being consistent. So you can kill yourself working on something intensely, but if the consistency isn't there, you're always going to be back down in the bottom of that and feeling like you're starting over. And you need systems that are kind of foolproof, that are really more habits than anything else, so that even if you don't feel like it, I can do this. I can get through this. So what you need, hint, it's not a new planner. And great if you went out and bought one, but there's not a planner out there that's going to change your results or change your level of success. It's all about you. And the process can be messy and ugly. We're going to determine what your essential activities are. Number one, where should you be focusing? And I work with people a lot in coaching on this. They're focused in all of the wrong places, or over focused in some of the wrong places, and under focused in the right places, the low hanging fruit stuff. And usually the right places, the best places, are the things that make you a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, that's what success, that's just the price you pay for success, is getting a little bit uncomfortable, stepping outside of your comfort zone. And as you step outside of your comfort zone, the comfort zone only grows. We're going to practice simple habits. Again, things that are simple that you know that you can do. We're going to create repeatable systems, very simple systems, and start small to avoid burnout. I think that's something else people do, is we said, you can set a huge goal, but you need the little goals in between so that you're hitting those success, or getting that dopamine hit every time you hit something. So vision board or goal setting, anything like that, whatever you're building to in 2026, that's great. But start with the small things. If you're looking at a career level and you want to be, I don't know, whatever, double diamond grand poobah, what's the next level up from where you are? It's great to have that big goal, but what's the next step that you can hit? Here's a sales example for refocusing. If you want to sell $5,000 a month, let's just say your average order is 100, maybe different for you. How many sales do I need? I need 50, right? And I don't want these numbers to scare you. If 1 out of 3 buys, I need to get my product in front of 150 people in a month. Again, social media and rework clients. If you're selling a consumables are great because the reorders are great. But even in jewelry, it's good. The average woman makes like a dozen jewelry purchases in a year for herself, as gifts, whatever. So even durable goods, there's a lot of reorder potential. And I find that people miss that. So 150 people. What are the essential activities to get in front of 150 people in a month? Social media, lives and posts and reels that start conversations. So you either have push content, which is like, hey, my company's having a special this month and here's what it is. That's push content. It's probably not going to generate a lot of conversation, and conversation is what you need to start. And so a better thing would be starting that conversation. What do you use? Is anyone using a collagen supplement, or anyone, wanting to replenish their skin or something like that, something that starts a conversation. And so you'll see this a lot. Smart people will post something that requires a response. They don't just put it all out there. It's something that people will comment on. I gotta get off the skincare thing. But like, if you remember these shoes, who remembers these shoes? Maybe time for a new serum, or, something like that. It gets people talking. So it's conversations in a month, not just posting. And so we could spend a whole hour on social media. But anyway, wise use of social media that gets conversations going with people. And a lot of the times the stuff that your company is putting out, 100,000 other people have posted that, and Facebook flags that stuff. So it's much better for you to create your own images and content. And Canva, there's many great ways to do that right now. But I'm not a huge fan of corporate stuff, because it knows it's not your original, that you're not the original creator. It's been seen to death, and they can flag things. They do it all the time. They flag whole companies sometimes. So a little bit of authenticity in what you're posting. Introducing my product or my service to my existing contacts. That's your warm market. And it doesn't have to be, hey, buy. It can be, hey, would you try this? Would you tell me what you think about this? I'd love to get your opinion on this. It's a great way to start with your existing contacts without feeling salesy and pushy. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They'd rather go cold call people. But this is where the money is. It's this warm market that already knows you and already trusts you. So, there's the bad news, I guess. Customer follow-up, to ensure that I am building a product advocates, people who are happy with their product and love their product. So I always say 2 days after they get it, and then 2 weeks after they have it, whatever it is, particularly if it's a consumable like nutrition, wellness, skincare, any of that stuff. And even jewelry. I want to be sure that people are happy with the purchase. Um, and then we're going to retarget those customers quarterly with specials and new products. And here's what I find people do. I could really get lost on a sales training here if I'm not careful. Here's what people do, particularly in direct selling. Their leader or their company or whatever puts out a challenge and says, go post, send this to whatever, 25 people, do the green light challenge on Facebook. But it's not targeted. And so it feels kind of canned. It feels like you sent it out to 50 people. So those are less likely to get the results that you want than if you looked at that customer. And this is where it takes a little bit of time. You look at the customer, you look at what she has bought in the past, where her pain points are, or his pain points are, and you target them with specials on products that they already use or things that they might want to add to their regime. Or and the new products are always exciting, just to say, hey, I just wanted to share this with you, that there's these new products, what of these speaks to you. But making it customized, people love customization. Starbucks built a whole business on the feeling of customization, right? It's mass customization. But people like that. Now you're solving a problem for me. You're not pushing a product at me. You're solving a problem that I have identified for you is a problem. And then obtaining referrals. We're terrible about this in the direct selling industry. We don't ask people, who do you know who might like whatever it is that you have. Even if you're a salesperson in brick and mortar, still the same thing, referrals. Who, send people to me. Who else do you know who's building a house, who might need appliances or furniture or whatever? Those referrals are out there. Everyone knows somebody. We're all separated by 6 people from everyone else in the world. And so the referrals piece is huge. And this is how you get in front of people. And then also events, workshops, if you're doing home parties, if you're doing, Facebook parties, social media, they're difficult, more difficult. I've got a whole training on that. But anyway, they're a little more difficult. The yield is lower than if you actually get face to face with someone, just because they're not completely dialed in. And social media, Facebook, shows people what it wants to show people, right? And it may not be what's going on in your group or in your Facebook event. And that can be frustrating. And that can also make you feel like nobody's listening or nobody cares. And in reality, they're not getting the message. So we can't take that personally. And I see people do that a lot, feel very frustrated and think, I need a new product or I need a different company or whatever. That's just geography. It's not going to change social media. It's not going to change how Facebook functions and TikTok and Instagram and wherever else you might be. But events and workshops to meet new people. You want to meet the friends of your friends and the friends of your clients. And years ago, when I first started in this industry, I sold skincare and cosmetics. And it was such like a blessing when people would say, oh, my niece is turning 13 and I wanted to bring her to you for skincare and, makeup 101. And I was just talking to my husband the other night about this entire group of people I know who came through one client. She brought me her niece. At different times, 2 of her nieces. And one of the nieces, the older niece, brought her friends. I did their prom makeup. I did their wedding makeup. Just unbelievable. So there's, 50 of these people that are affiliated, and they came through that one referral where the aunt just wanted to bring the oldest niece to me. And it's just that is high praise. So anyway, this is a huge part of the selling process, the sales process. And I realize influencers, they have 1 million followers and they get on there and share a product and, they sell it. That's not the case for most people. And they've been building that following forever. We could have a whole nother conversation about building a following. As a matter of fact, there's so many things we could spin off of here. But I won't. Okay, so simple habits build systems. And that's all the system is it's a habit that you do consistently. That's swallowable, right? That's not overwhelming. Calendar block these essential activities. You don't need a fancy planner. I personally love the Google Suite. Google Calendar is phenomenal. I like to do small segments too that don't overwhelm you. But I would mark a follow up on there. If someone says to me, I really want to do some coaching, or I want to do some work, or I'd love to have you to come train for my team, but I need to get through XYZ. I'm going to go right to my calendar and I'm going to put that reminder on the date that she told me she'd be freed up enough to look at that. So, and then calendar blocking things like your follow up, your outreach to your customers. When are you posting on social media? Block out some time to plan maybe for the week. And following up with the hostesses, it depends on what your essentials are, which is why it's essential to determine what are your essential activities. But you calendar block that and you reach out to people. And I know no one answers their phone anymore, so yeah, text. Block that time out. Sometimes people will say from 2 to 4 every day, this is gonna be work time. Okay, well, what specifically are you doing during that? Oh, I'm reaching out to people that I met at a trade show. Okay, great. Where's the list? Like, that's real calendar blocking. I'm going to spend 30 minutes from 2 to 2:30 and I'm going to reach out to these trade show prospects. And here's my list and here's what I'm going to say. Use short blocks of time to minimize fatigue and the feeling of being overwhelmed. Break it up with other activities. So I'm going to do that for 30 minutes and then I'm going to give myself 10 minutes of guilty pleasure and fall down a TikTok hole. Reward yourself and break it up so you're not looking at 4 hours of endless work. You're looking at short 15, 30-minute. I can do that. I can do anything for 15 minutes, even if I don't want to, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's reaching out to people, right? And then a huge part of success in sales is reaching out to people. There's really no two ways about it. If you're serious about it and you want to grow, and I know it's hard and it's scary, but that's the gift that comes with the journey, is your personal growth and your personal development for doing hard things that scare you today but won't scare you in 6 weeks. Protect that time. That is sacred time. If it's on the calendar, we don't touch that, right? Sometimes we may have to move it, but still, the time block is on there somewhere else. Use technology to save yourself time. I love ChatGPT. It doesn't write my stuff for me, but sometimes I'll almost brainstorm with it, or I'll put in my base thoughts and it'll fluff it, especially for social media posts, and check it for grammatical errors and spelling errors and typos and all that. Canva's great. They've got a ton of graphics that are really easy to use and to repurpose. They've got a wonderful video image library. I used to spend so much time searching for images in Dreamscape and 100 other places. It can be so time consuming. And you can even ask ChatGPT, "Hey ChatGPT, I want to reach people who are shopping for jewelry for Valentine's Day." And ChatGPT, literally, it scans the whole internet for all of these great ideas. And then you take those and you make them your own, but you don't have to spend the time thinking about that or wording an email perfectly, because it's going to do that for you. It is really important that you build the base concept and that you teach chat to speak like you. There are things sometimes when they're polishing things, they put the dash, dash, dash in it, and I have to remind it, I don't dash, dash, dash. I dot, dot, dot. I've done it forever. So that it sounds like you and it sounds authentic. So you're not just spitting out what ChatGPT said, because a lot of people are doing that. And you can kind of read right through it. So lean into tech to save you time so that you can focus your energies on the really important things, having conversations with people, reaching out, doing events or whatever that gets you in front of people instead of being stuck scripting stuff. Also, I don't like scripts. That's why I don't ever put them out, because it's got to sound like you. So, all right, how this applies beyond business. It can be anything. It can be working out. It's time blocked on the calendar. It's non-negotiable. Personal growth. If you want to read more books or you want to learn about something, then you put that time in there. I block in thinking time. I'm just going to here's my strategy session, my strategy time, so that I can just sit and think with your cell phone on silent, without any noise in the background, so that I can really just think. And that's so hard. We multitask all the time. I'm following these monks that are on this peace walk. It's just like the highlight of my day. And they said something the other day that I say all the time. Quit multitasking. Like we think it's how things are supposed to be done. It's terrible for us to multitask. It's bad for our brains. It haywires the circuits when we're doing multiple things and we don't do anything well. A big mindfulness practice, which is great for anxiety and all kinds of stuff, is just focusing on a single thing. Just like if you're washing dishes, you're just focused on washing dishes. If you're doing your skincare, you're just focused on that, not having 100 other conversations in the background. So, anyway, multitasking is terrible for us. So, you need to plan that time where you're just going to sit and think. And even in relationships, one of mine post pandemic is to get together with friends more. You know, we used to do that all the time and then we didn't. And then you just kind of fall out of the habit. And so that's something that I'm very focused on is getting together with friends, having fun, laughing. And, you got to schedule that stuff. You're not going to just find time, to have fun. And that's important. Having fun is important to us as humans. Sometimes we feel like it ought to all be work, work, work. But we need socialization to be healthy mentally. We need socialization. We need to hang out with friends. We need to laugh and have a good time. It's really good for up here too, which ultimately helps you become more successful. What gets scheduled gets done. Michelle Archer. If you've been with me for any amount of time at all, you have heard me say that before, but it's the God's honest truth. What gets scheduled gets done. Everything goes on my calendar in Google. If you want to use something else, that's great. I really love Google. I think I taught a whole class on Google at some point. I need to find that. All right, we're just going to review here. We have reflected on your wins. We've released, or you will be releasing what no longer serves you. You probably need a little bit of time to work on it. We've talked about renewing your passion, and we've refocused on simple habits and practices that will work for you. And I am available to sit with you and flesh this out for your business, for your business model, for your lifestyle. If you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a working mom, that plan looks a little bit different depending on your lifestyle. So this is the reset. It's not dramatic. It's not overwhelming, hopefully. It's simple and it's intentional. And I think that's my word for 2026 is intention. Everything needs to be intentional. Sometimes we can fall into doing things by rote, striving to be more intentional this year. If you are ready to move from insight to action, let's put some time on the calendar for a private chat. I will email each of you all a link. And we'll spend, 45 minutes to an hour just talking about your business, your plans, your goals, your dreams, what you feel like is holding you back. Like this is the stuff that I love. This is what I absolutely live for, is having these conversations with people. And sometimes it turns into something and sometimes it doesn't, but it is never time wasted. It is always just absolutely a blessing to me to be able to do that for other people. All right, and I think that's it. I'll pause and we'll chat for a little bit. All right, so good chat, and you can always email me. I'll be emailing you about a one-on-one if you want to take advantage of that. Can't wait to hear about some of the exercises, particularly burning the things that you don't want to take forward with you in 2026. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll hang out a few minutes and just watch the chat before we end the meeting. All right. If you're watching the playback, bye.